Good morning, everyone. So welcome to our event, the National Council of Negro Women Co-op City Sections Entrepreneurial Webinar, where we are focusing on Black women in business. My name is Candace Daniels. I am the co-chair for the EEDP committee, along with our excuse me, chair, Anika Matheson. We are thrilled to have each and every one of you as we kick off the Financial Literacy Month for April with a powerful and inspiring conversation. So we are part of the National Council of Negro Women Co-op City Section, and this webinar is titled Black Women in Business, and we are committed to empowering our community through financial literacy, economic growth, and business education. So for our committee, our mission is to provide meaningful resources and create opportunities to foster financial independence, entrepreneurship, especially within the Black community. So for today's event, we are highlighting two dynamic women who have craved successful paths in the real estate industry, and we're so honored to have them as our featured speakers. Teikesha Hubert. She is the founder of Hubert and Company. She is a thriving real estate firm in New Jersey. And we have Miss Janice James, who is an accomplished and highly respected realtor for New York. They will be sharing their journeys, insights, and strategies for success, not just in real estate, but in entrepreneurship and financial empowerment. So whether you are an aspiring business owner, a professional exploring home ownership, or just someone who's just looking to build economic wealth, this webinar is for you. So we are excited about the discussions ahead and hope you walk away feeling inspired, informed, and motivated. And also be sure just to follow us on our NCNW Co-op City platforms for more upcoming events. Now, let's dive in and learn about these remarkable women who continue to uplift and lead us. Again, thank you for attending our webinar. And now I'm going to introduce our fabulous and amazing president, Lisa Wade Stewart, with greetings.
Thank you very much, Candace, and thank you all for attending this wonderful webinar. On behalf of the National Council of Negro Women Co-op City Section, I'd like to wish you all greetings. The National Council of Negro Women is an organization that was founded in 1935 by Dr. Mary McLeod Bethune. The organization is a collective of different organizations. It's called an organization of organizations, and we consist of over 300 community-based and collegiate sections across the country. In addition, we have over 200 affiliate organizations that work in partnership with the National Council of Negro Women, and overall, our reach is over 2 million women across the country and internationally. The NCNW Co-op City Section was founded in 1971 in Co-op City. Our organization today consists of over 80 members, and we service the Co-op City community and abroad. If you're interested in joining our section, please look at our website, and you'll be able to see more information about us, and you can also follow us on our social media platforms. Without further ado, because I'm a little under the weather today, I'm going to turn the program back over to our wonderful co-chairs for the EEPD committee. Thank you and welcome.
Thank you, Madam President. Next, I'm going to introduce the chair of EEDP, Ms. Anika Matheson.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for the opening remarks, Madam President. Hello, everyone. My name is Anika Matheson, and I am the chair of EEPD Economic Empowerment Development Program Committee, and I'm delighted to be here with you this morning. As mentioned, today's focus is on celebrating and learning from the journeys of two amazing Black women entrepreneurs who have made significant impacts in the real estate world. Before we begin, a few quick housekeeping notes. The webinar is being recorded for future educational use. Please remain muted during the presentation unless otherwise prompted. We encourage you to use the chat to drop comments or reactions. And if you have questions for our speakers, you can type them in the chat at any time. We'll address them during the Q&A segment towards the end. Now it is my pleasure to introduce our speakers. First, we'll have Teikesha Hubert, founder of Hubert and Company, a New Jersey-based real estate firm dedicated to helping individuals and families achieve home ownership and generational wealth. Teikesha has a passion for community education and membership and brings a wealth of knowledge on real estate, investing, and business strategy. Good morning, Teikesha.
Good morning. Thank you guys for having me today. I am gonna start sharing my screen. I'm gonna share, and if you guys have any questions, put them in the chat. I'll be checking the chat. I'm specifically sharing on New Jersey only. I am only licensed in the state of New Jersey. When Janice goes, she will talk about New York. There is many differences. So have questions specific to Jersey, feel free to ask. Okay, so the agenda is I'm going to let you guys know about myself, about my company, and then I'm going to go into the 10 home buying steps for purchasing in New Jersey. So my name is Teikesha Hubert. I'm the broker owner of Hubert & Co. So before I got into real estate, I have a bachelor's from Syracuse University and a master's from the University of Southern California. So I was a tax accountant for 5 years. Then after having my daughter, I decided I wanted to do a career shift. I got into real estate. I got my license July 3rd, 2017. I was licensed for a year at Weichert Realtors. Not sure if they're in New York, but it's a company that was founded in Jersey in 1968. They're still around to this day. And then I did a year there. It was cool, but it was, I was in my early 20s, and it was very different in the sense that they wanted you to physically come to the office and sign papers. A lot of my clients were also in their 20s. We were all doing electronically stuff. So that was where they were very old school, but the founder is very old school as well. So then I transitioned into Keller Williams a year later. After that, I see my business tremendously change. They were more tech-based. Their name was more national versus Weichert was more a Jersey name. Then while at KW, I kept building my business. And then I decided to take my broker exam in 2020. So in Jersey, you can get your broker license 3 years after being a licensed agent. So I had to go back, take the classes, got my brokerage license. And then I decided to open Hubert & Co. in 2022. So my goal is when I leave, I want to leave something for my daughter, and having my own company could do that. I just have one daughter, she's 11. I always joke with her and tell her when she's 18, she will get her real estate license. Even if she don't use it, she will have it. Because she needs a license to actually one day run the brokerage, even though she may not actively be involved in the day-to-day. So that is my career. It changed a lot. I still have my CPA license. I still have all these degrees. Do I use them on a day-to-day basis? Not necessarily, but I enjoy what I do. I get to help people that look like me and you all the time that become first-time home buyers. A lot of them relocate to New Jersey, and I enjoy that. They said when you find something that you enjoy, it's like you're never working, and I really don't feel like I'm working most of the day. All right, so let's jump into it. So these are some of my past clients. I'm originally from Brooklyn, New York, born and raised in East New York. I moved to Jersey 2012. So I've been here for quite some time. It's been 13 years now. I first made the move from New York because of the cost of living. So I moved here right after grad school. I wanted my own apartment, but I did not want a roommate, and I did not want to live in someone's basement apartment in Brooklyn. So I came to Jersey. So these are just two of my clients. They're also from Brooklyn, and now they live in Jersey. A lot of my clients are coming from New York City because the cost of living. Jersey is cheaper, but it's not as cheap, especially North Jersey, as everyone thinks anymore. The prices are going up. I will definitely say that. What kind of houses can you find in Jersey? Like, honestly, you can find anything you see in New York, whether it's in New York City, whether it's in Westchester, whether it's in Long Island. We have all of those. We have from single new construction, multi-new construction, we have modern, we have literally everything. But it's also what your budget can afford. So if you have the budget, you can find anything. If your budget is a little tight and you want to be closer to New York City, it kind of limits your options. But we have co-ops which we don't really do much in Jersey. That's really a New York City thing. We do have condos, we do have high rises, we have townhouse, like we literally have anything you can imagine. All right, let's now go into the home buying process in 10 steps. All right, so one of the biggest thing I always say, and you probably hear all the time, location, location, location. That is very big in real estate. The first thing you need to find out is where you want to live, whether it's what, so Jersey, we don't call it cities, we call it municipalities. So it's rather what municipality you want to live, what county, what area, how much of a commute do you want into New York? One of the biggest things I always ask my clients when I'm talking to them the first time, how far of a commute do you want? And I'm like, specifically, what part of New York City do you work at? And they're like, the city. Okay, great. Do you work downtown, uptown, midtown? Do you need to get into the city by train? Do you want to drive? Do you want to take the bus? That is very important because it also limits where you can live. If you're telling me you only want to be an hour out from midtown, but you need to be in a town that has a train, there's certain areas you can't live in. Also, what are some of your must-have? Be very specific. If you minimum 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, but you need a laundry room, I know everyone always thinks like, oh, but I thought that was common. Every house does not have a laundry room. Every house does not have a garage. You want to open concept, like we need to know these things. And also, you also have to be realistic. What are your must-have and what are your preferences? So a lot of times preferences is like, hey, I need a parking, but a garage is preferred. If I don't get a garage, that's fine. Or I need a basement, but if it's finished, that's a preference. So we need to understand our must-have and our wants or our preferences. I can't stress enough hiring the right real estate agent or a realtor. Not every real estate agent is a realtor, but every real estate agent can help you. Social media will make you think that all of these agents that are posting pictures that they're actually transacting or that they know what they're doing. I would definitely say hiring the right person can make a difference. You definitely want to not just look on their social, but look at their Zillow, look at their Google, read their reviews. Reviews are very important. If they have no reviews, chances are they're not working with anyone. If there's no one that you can see or they've never posted anything that said sold, but all you're seeing is pretty houses, chances are they never sold anything. Ask the tough questions. This is probably your biggest investment you're going to make. So you want to make sure the person that's guiding you actually know what they're doing. Even though I am a realtor, I feel like the level to get into real estate is very low. So there's a lot of people that claim that they're real estate agent, but they're actually not experienced and they don't know what they're doing. Why do I say that? In Jersey, you just got to take 75 hours of classes, take a test, that's a multiple choice, pay a couple of money, and you're considered a real estate agent. Very easy. And then they start posting on social media and they looking in people's houses. And so anyone on social media is a real estate agent, but not everyone is created equally. So do your due diligence. And it's okay to interview a couple of different agents. It's okay to interview a couple of people. Ask your family members, your friends who bought a house, what was their experience? Do they recommend the person? They will connect you. Anika, she was a referral. Her brother and sister-in-law purchased with me, and they literally told her if she did not use me, she would be an idiot. Like they literally just said that. And so she did not want that to happen to her. So she used me, and it was a good experience to the point where I'm still helping her brother and her sister-in-law. Any questions in real estate, they always come to me. And same does Anika, because I am very truthful. I always say I am brutally honest. I always say I have a bad combination. I'm from Brooklyn and I'm Jamaican. Like, I'm going to give it to you as real as possible. You may see homes that you like. And as a first time home buyer, my job is to point out everything that's wrong with the home. It's not to discourage you, but I want to make sure you're making an informed decision. So if you do nothing else right, hiring the right real estate professional is the best advice I can give. All right, set your budget. You need to know how much you can afford for this house before you get pre-approved. Your pre-approval does not determine your budget. You can get pre-approved for $1 million, but you may only want to spend 800. So the best way to set your budget is look at your income, look at all your monthly expenses, even your rent, and decide, hey, how much can I really afford for my mortgage? Something I know during COVID, everyone was saying is, oh, you can replace your rent with your mortgage. It's not that easy because in addition, your rent to your mortgage, you have more utilities. Water and sewer is a very big one. Water and sewer, depending on your municipality, it comes every month or every quarter. So your water and sewer bill could be about $400 monthly. That's something you didn't have when you was a tenant. In addition, when something breaks down, you can't call your super or your landlord. You as the homeowner has to be the one who makes these changes. So you have to factor all of that into your budget. You always have to every month put money aside for the different maintenance that you need. So budget is very important. If you know that, hey, the way stuff is right now, I pay what, $3,000 for my rent. I could probably only do $4,000 for my mortgage. That's okay. You could do that. You just have to be mindful that when the lender sees your income and they get excited, they may tell you, oh, I can approve you for $1 million. That's fine. They can do that, but you need to know I can only spend $4,000 a month because I don't want to be house poor. I don't want to be, Americans call it oodles and noodles. I'm Jamaican and nobody want to be eating dirty gal or bull beef. Like nobody want to do that. So make sure you stick within your budget. And when we say mortgage, it's very important. Your mortgage includes 5 to 6 things. It includes your principal, your interest, your taxes, your home insurance, and most first-time home buyers, they do not put 20%. So it includes a private mortgage insurance because you didn't do that. So that includes PMI. If you live in a condo or a townhouse, you also have HOA. That adds up pretty quickly, especially in Jersey. We have the highest property taxes in the US. So be mindful of that. So let's see. I think my property taxes on my house is like $17,000. It's very high. So out of that 4,000, probably like 1,200 of my mortgage is just taxes. My home insurance is probably another 2,000 a year. So it starts adding up to that 4,000 really quickly. So you have to be mindful of that. And I think that's the biggest shocker a lot of first-time home buyers get when they come and it's like 4,000. Oh, I can get a lot of house. Not in North Jersey, you can't. Not in North Jersey. You'll be lucky if you get a house that's renovated. Because with 4,000, by the time you add all of those, you're at a very entry-level house and your budget is about 400 to 450. And that doesn't get you much in North Jersey. So I would think with North Jersey is the closer you are to New York City, the more expensive it is. So let's see, the big cities in Jersey, that's very popular, even though a lot of people are like, ooh, Newark. Newark is a big city. Then you have like Jersey City, Teaneck, the Meadowlands. Those are all considered North Jersey. Then further you get into Jersey, the prices change. So Central Jersey would be like Union, Elizabeth, Perth Amboy, New Brunswick. That's all central. So those prices are cheaper than it is in North Jersey. Then we get to South Jersey. So the closer you are to PA, the more cheap it is. So South Jersey would be like Willingboro, Burlington. Those areas are cheaper than it is in North Jersey. So be mindful of that. Now that you know what your budget is, then you seek your pre-approval. I think you should set your budget before you get pre-approved because the lenders, they try to get you to spend the most amount of money because as realtors and lenders, we get paid on commission. So my job is not to sell you a house. My job is to make sure you make the most informed decision that's best for you and your family. I've had clients that I've worked with for 3 years, whether we're just getting them prepared or we're going through the process and they take a break. So I'm not necessarily in a rush because my thing is more of a relationship. But with lenders, I really feel like a lot of them, if you say your budget is 4,000, but I can get you to spend, instead of 450, I can get you to spend 650, I'm going to make more money. So it's very important for you to set your budget. No one knows your pocket but you. Even if you come to me, I'd be like, what can you afford? Like at the end of the day, I always tell my clients, when the closing finish, you have to be comfortable paying your mortgage because you can't call me and ask me to help you pay your mortgage because I don't have it. So make sure you can afford to pay your mortgage and you're comfortable with it. After you're pre-approved, then we'll do it could be virtual via Zoom, or it can be in person. So a lot of my clients are from New York City, so we usually do the Zoom process. And then I walk through the step-by-step. I answer all their questions specific to them. I go over our sales contract and I go over everything. So some of my clients, they do NACA. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with NACA. If they're using NACA, we go over the NACA process and what's the different nuances, whether it's priority versus non-priority. So I go through all of that on a more personal level with each person individually. I go over all the forms. We do require you to sign forms. One of the biggest forms is the exclusive buyer agency agreement. That I always call it like a marriage license. That's like, you're committed to me, I'm committed to you. I'm gonna work with you for free. Something I think the biggest misconception that a lot of the general public don't get is, as a realtor, I work for free. I do not get paid until we get to the closing table. So everything, all the times that I've put in, all the hours, all the miles on my car, the gas, the tolls, is all for free. We never see a penny until we get to that table. So just to make sure that we're committed and you're serious, we do sign a contract and it is legally binding. However, if anytime you feel like you don't want to work with me, you can cancel the contract. If I feel like I don't want to work with you, I can fire you. So the same way you can fire me, I can fire you. So that's also a very big misconception. So once we sign all the paperwork, then it's like, ooh, we're happy. We can start looking at pretty houses. This is when it starts getting real, I always say, because on social media, as agents, they show you all the pretty houses, and then when you see your budget and you see it in real life, it doesn't look the same. I'm not even gonna lie. I'm so not gonna lie to you. Social media, I always say, is fake. People put up the pretty stuff and they show you what they want you to see. In real life, when you start seeing these houses, it doesn't look the same. Not because your expectations are different, but also when they put the pictures online, whether on social media or the MLS, agents, we do have it doctored. So we put filters on it. Just like when you see people from Instagram, a lot of times they don't look like that in real life because they have all these filters and all this makeup. That's how some of these homes are. So I go over that and tell you, hey, don't be alarmed if it looks pretty online and then when you go in, it doesn't meet your expectation. That happens. It's not that they're trying to trick you. It's just they're trying to put their best foot forward, like on social media, and they want more people to come in. When we start looking at homes, it's also around this time where your list change, your must-have may increase and your preferences may decrease. You will see stuff in homes that you like or stuff that you thought you may like from watching TV or on social media that you no longer want. That's okay. I expect your wish list to change. Don't feel alarmed and don't feel like you're doing anything. Once we find the home that you feel like it's the one, you know it's the one. When you get in a home, you do get this feeling in your house. So like the house that I live in, I was me and my husband's agent. And listen, he was probably my most stressful client. I'm not even gonna hold you. This house, it took us 3 offers. 3. Every time we saw a different house, we got outbidded, and this house came back and he was like, let's put in another offer. Funny enough, if the sellers picked our offer the first time, they would have got more money. I'm a little petty, I'm not even gonna hold you. After the second time I put the offer down, the third time I kept putting it down. And I called him, I was like, hey, you keep picking all these other offers, and my husband wants this house. So you should just pick our offer so we can close. And they eventually did, and we got the house, and he was very happy. And we're selling this house to this day. But I say that to say, when you want the house and you know it's the house, trust me, we don't get the house because it's still in Jersey. It's still a seller's market, meaning our inventory is low, but there is a lot of buyers on the market. So a lot of time we're going to get in a multiple offer situation where you're not going to be the only offer on the property. There's going to be multiple people are going to bid over asking. I think when we bought in 2019, even before the interest rates were low, so I had interest rate that people said is high, but that's what interest rates always been before COVID. I think we went 50 or 60 over asking, but that, I know it seems like a lot, but That's what we needed to do to get the house. I am to this day writing offers. The last one I wrote was 110,000 over asking, and we didn't get the house. And that's just the market that we're still in, unfortunately. And a lot of times it's hard for first-time home buyers because they see the list price, which is what's on the MLS, what's on Zillow. That doesn't really matter. It's more so what are the average homes in the area going for, and what is the number supporting. As listing agent, as seller's agent, we do put the houses slightly low to get the competition to drive the price back up. So when you're ready to make the offer, you got that warm, fuzzy feeling. We're in the house. You're starting to place your furniture all over. We know it's the one. What's going to happen next is I'm going to run the comps. So I'm going to go back. I'm going to tell you, hey, for a 3-bedroom, 2-bath in this municipality, it's selling for an average of 300,000. Again, just for example, there's houses in Jersey that do sell for 300, but not in North Jersey. So for 300,000, and the range is like 275 to 375. Based on that, and there's other offers, what are you comfortable offering? I always put it back to you. I'll give you the data. I'll give you all the numbers, but ultimately it's what you're comfortable offering, because it's your house, and I never want you to feel buyer's remorse, or I never want you to feel like you overpaid. If you're only comfortable offering 300,000, we offer 300. Because at the end of the day, I don't know what you did to get your money. I don't know how many hours you work, how stressful your job is. I don't know none of those. Only you know what you did to get your money. So if you're comfortable offering it, I'm comfortable offering it. I'm never going to tell you you need to offer more. I'm not the one paying the mortgage account. So what are you comfortable offering? And then I'll present it in the best way possible. If we get the house, great. If we don't get the house, I am going to tell you, hey, based on the data that I gave you, this is what you was comfortable with. But I'm thinking the house probably went for X more because of the data. Ultimately, you will have to decide if the next time you want to offer more, or if you want to give a stronger deposit, if you want to reduce some of your contingencies. You only can decide that, because again, you have to be comfortable, because when we start signing all these legal paperwork, I don't want you to be like, oh man, my realtor told me to do this, or no. One thing people will never say is Teikesha Hubert forced them to do anything. I'll give you the facts, the information, and you have to make that decision yourself, because everyone here that's buying a house is grown. Everyone is over 18. Most of us is over 25 when we're starting to buy our first homes. So you have to do what's best for you, and I'll just give you the information. Okay, now our offer is accepted. This is like a great feeling, because you're like, whew, I beat out everybody else. This is specific to Jersey. So in Jersey, I write the contract. Once the contract is accepted and we have an executed contract, the next step is attorney review. In attorney review, that means the buyer's attorney and the seller's attorney both review the contract, and they can change pretty much anything. The only thing they do not change is the purchase price. They can change the date of the closing. They can change the location of the closing. They can change when the inspection happens. Anything could be changed. But also to be mindful of, while in attorney review, our contract is not legally binding. So I know in other states, they go offer accepted under contract. We have this in between called attorney review, where the attorneys have to review it, and it's not legally binding, to the sense that if another offer is presented in attorney review, they can accept that and you can get kicked out. While in attorney review, if you see another home that you like, we can still view it. We can put in another offer, and then we can kick them out. So it's like a dating phase. Like I'm still playing the field. I'm trying to see if I really want to commit to you. That's what happens in attorney review. Attorney goes over the contract with you, make sure you understand all the legal aspects. That once you sign, once you give your deposit, you can't just turn around and say, oh, I changed my mind. I don't want this house, because there will be consequences. So that's why I don't know about other states, but Jersey is all I know. I love attorney review, because a lot of times we see homes, we put in offers, you guys like it, but then you get into this phase where, oh, you're still not sure. This is the time you make sure you're sure. Because once money changes hands, there's no going back. Once we conclude this, there's no going back. There is, okay. Just checking the chat. Okay. What's the difference between a realtor and a real estate agent and a realtor? So everyone that's licensed is we start off by real estate agent, but as a realtor, we're a member of the National Association of Realtors. So we just are held to higher standards. We have certain ethics that we have to follow, and it costs more. Like there's a lot of fees we have to pay to be a realtor. So not everyone wants to pay those fees or want to be held to those higher standards. So a lot of them just say real estate agent. So I'm not an agent, I'm a broker. So I'm above agent. So like I hire agents. Agents are, every agent has a broker. So we all have to hang our license with a broker. So I'll be a real estate broker and I'm a realtor because I am a member of the National Association of Realtors. Can you please relist the 5 things that make up a monthly mortgage payment? Sure. It's your principal, your interest, your taxes, your home insurance, and your PMI. So you only have PMI if you're putting down less than 20%, which most people do. Like over my last 8 years, I've only had 3 clients that bought a house with 20%. I don't know about y'all, but I don't just have 20% sitting down just to give these people. So don't feel bad. You could buy a home with 0% using NACA. USDA is 0%, or you can do as low as 3% for a single family with conventional. Everyone always talks about FHA, but FHA is not the only option and not always the cheapest. Can you have 2 homes under attorney review at the same time? Not at the same time. You can write multiple offers at the same time, but you can't accept and begin attorney review for multiple homes. Because what will happen is attorney review, I've been in attorney review for as short as an hour. So once they conclude, you can't let them like, oh man, I have this other house. Like what? You can't. So it can happen very quickly that you go under contract. So we don't start attorney review with more than 1 home. But that is a great question. We can write multiple offers. We ain't gonna tell nobody. I've written offers for one client, like 5 offers one time. So that's something, you can write as many offers, but you cannot be an attorney review with more than 1 home. Can you speak some of the most popular home buying programs for the first-time home buyers? So something to be mindful of for the different programs. Everyone also always talks about it. I know they post a lot on social media, but not everyone qualifies. Not because you're a first-time home buyer means you automatically qualify for these programs. Why? A lot of these programs require income. There are certain income restrictions, meaning you can't make too much money. There's a limit of how much you can make to qualify for these programs. And then also, if you want to buy a home, but then in 3 years, you want to buy another home, that's also problematic because some of these homes require you to live in it for 5 years. If you don't live in it for 5 years, then you're going to have to repay a portion of that down payment assistance back. So there is a state program. It's called the New Jersey HMFA. They give up to $22,000. And when I'm done, I can send Anika the different links and she will more than share it. But again, there's income restriction and it's up to $22,000 because it's dependent on what county you purchase in. Then some of my lenders, they have program one where it's up to $20,000 for an external grant, but again, there's income restrictions. And then some of the internal lenders also have $10,000. So I have a client that she's about to get $30,000 of free money. When she came to me, she was already pre-approved, not a problem, but I always ask, hey, do you want to get another opinion? I always recommend at least 2 pre-approval. Doesn't hurt. Every lenders have different programs. They offer you different options. And it's also good to see, I like to compare. So once we get the house under contract, we go to both lenders and we ask them for what's called a loan estimate. And the loan estimate is going to determine what this lender is charging. Okay, something to be mindful of. It's not free getting a mortgage. They're going to charge you money. So every lenders have their own costs and also what's the interest rate. And then we're able to compare apples to apples to make sure that we're making the best decision. The co-op is something. Okay, so a co-op is not a home. So what I mean by that, if you own a co-op, you do not own residential property. For a co-op, you do not get a deed to the home. So that's why your mortgage doesn't show up because technically you don't have a mortgage. your monthly maintenance fee is not a mortgage. So when you own a co-op, yes, you are considered a first-time home buyer because you don't own a property. Because with the co-op, you get a proprietary lease and shares of your corporation. You don't have a mortgage, you don't have a deed. So you do not own a property, which is why it's so hard to buy and sell co-ops, because you have to get the board approval. You have all these stuff to rent it because you don't own the property. You're just essentially a tenant, and then you have shares of the corporation. So yes, you can still qualify. For no, to qualify for any of the grants, there's no residency requirement. There is income limits and there is credit minimum, but they all vary based on which grant or down payment assistance you are going for. Is there someone to work with those of us who want to buy a 2-family home for investment and still live in New York City? So give me more on that. So like, yeah, you can buy a multi. So if you want to buy a 2-family and it's for investment purposes only, and you never want to live in it, you need to have a minimum of 20% down because you'll be considered an investor. So if you want a house hack, which is what everyone talks about on social media, you need to live in the property for at least a year, and you can buy the house for as low as 3.5% down and live there for a year, and then you can move out, rent it, and save all that money. But if you never want to live there, you need 20% down minimum. So that's something to be mindful of. But those were some great questions. Okay, so I'm gonna jump back in. So after attorney review, like I said, the next step is we go straight to under contract. This is where the fun begins. While in attorney review, remember, we're just dating. Either the buyer can cancel, the seller can cancel. Now we're under contract. We married. We are committed. The only way we're getting divorced is if the home inspection messes up or the financing. So our standard contract in New Jersey, section 16, is very clear. It's a contingency. If I do this home inspection and I feel like the house is crappy or the house is falling apart, I literally ask my inspector after we finish every inspection, so what do you think about this house? Is it a go or is it a no? If he tells me no, I literally just turn around to my client, I give them the eye, because I can't make the decision, right? I'm not the one that signed the contract. I'm not the one that's in this marriage, but I just, the inspector is a professional. You tell us the house is no good, I give you the eye, and if you tell me you still want to work with the house, we work with the house. But I would advise you not to work with the house. If the home inspection is really bad, he does say that. I've had him say that like 2 or 3 times. 2 of my clients canceled, 1 of them bought the house. Again, the decision is not mine. All I can do is advise. We do have the option to go back to the seller. Hey, can you fix these items? Can you give me a credit? Or if it's really that bad, you can just say, I don't want the house. And that's okay. We can do that in the home inspection contingency. Once the home inspection is done, the seller fixes whatever you asked for, you then can change your mind and be like, well, this house is not really what I thought. It's very important to make sure during the home inspection, everything gets answered. Financing will be, there's an appraisal. That's one of the biggest contingencies. If the house is not appraised, if it's not worth what we're under contract for, the bank will not give you the mortgage. Plain and simple, very black and white. So those are the 2 biggest contingencies are under contract. Once you pass those, you can't cancel for any reason whatsoever. If you cancel, they're keeping your deposit, and they will, and they can even sue you because it's a legally binding contract. So once we pass the home inspection contingency, once we pass the financing contingency, the title company does their due diligence, then the lender, the one that's holding the purse strings, determine when we can close, to be honest. The lender do their final analysis and they issue what's a clear to close. Clear to close means you met all the lender's expectation, the title work came in, the property is free and clear, and everything is on the up and up. That's when we start doing the happy dance. Until we get the clear to close, nothing is final. You can have a pre-approval and not get a mortgage. It happens. Don't be surprised. So clear to close is like, yeah, we start dancing. We can schedule the movers. We can like tell the landlord. You do not tell the landlord you're buying a home until we get the clear to close. You do not give your notice to your landlord until we get the clear to close. Because I don't want you to be homeless. So until we get declared a close, you do not tell your landlord. Once we get that, you can say, hey, I'm putting in my 30-day notice, send them a nice written letter or email, then we're moving in shape. Then once you get declared a close, we can schedule your closing date. Closings are only Monday to Friday, 9 to 5. They're literally normal working hours. We schedule the day that works best for you. The day of closing, we also do a final walkthrough. That means we go through the property, we make sure it's everything you expect. Because once you sign on the dotted line, it's all your house and all the problems that come with it. There's no return policies. There's no, oh, I tried it for a day, a couple of hours, I don't want it. We don't take back nothing when it comes to real estate. You keep it, and if you don't want it, you gotta sell it. And just like when you bought this house, you had to pay all these closing costs and all this money to sell the house. Is also a lot of fees. So that's why buying a home, it just doesn't happen overnight. So on average in New Jersey, if you're doing conventional, you can close with. That's a lot of time to make sure. While we're in attorney review for about 2 to 3 days, when you're under contract doing the home inspection, you make sure this is the house, because we give you the key, congratulations, we get all the pictures taken, and then it's your house. I don't want to be like, oh, but I really didn't want this house. Like, what? No, we can't take it back. I'm sorry. So then we close. So now, any questions specific to me before I turn it over to Jenny?
Yes, we have one question here. Do you qualify for New Jersey housing programs if you are a New York State resident when purchasing a home in New Jersey?
So yeah, there's no residency requirement. So a lot of people who live in New Jersey actually work in New York. When I first made the move, I moved in 2012, and I was still working in New York City. So there's no residency requirement. The biggest thing is there is a minimum credit and there is a maximum of that income.
Okay, thank you. And we have
That
like
was
two
it,
more
right?
questions. Can NOI residents qualify for New Jersey grants? I think you mentioned it, but
Yeah, it's the same thing. No residency requirement.
okay. And then the last question for you, is there someone to work with those of us who want to buy 2-family homes for investment and still live in New York? Good
So yeah, I think I did answer that. So yeah, so
Okay.
you could buy investment. Does you can buy investment property anywhere you want in the world. You just, as an investor, you do have to put a stronger down payment. So it's a requirement that you have to put down a minimum 20%. The only way to put down less, the 3.5%, is if you live in the property for at least a year and then you rent out the other unit. So you live in one unit, rent out the other, then that's 3.5%. If not, that 20% is a must.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Teikesha. You know you're my favorite. So we're going to go into Janice James, and I'll introduce her. So Janice James is a veteran realtor from New York with over 2 decades of experience. Janice is well known with her advocacy in housing, equity, and her commitment to guiding first-time home buying through often complicated process of securing a home. Her work blends professionally, purpose, and passion for economic empowerment. She is from New York, so if you are interested in buying a home in New York, please welcome Janice James.
Sorry. Okay, can everyone see
Hi,
me?
can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, so thank you guys for having me. I really appreciate it. And good morning to everyone. So yes, I sell real estate in New York. I'm originally from Jamaica. and I grew up in Florida, and I moved here pretty much when I was engaged and getting married. So I started out my career when I first moved here. I got my license and I worked at this little brokerage in Manhattan called Manhattan Apartments. And of course, I was mind blown because I was from Florida and I could not believe the prices that, the types of homes that you were getting for the prices. Anyway, once I got married and I decided to have kids, I ended up buying a house in Long Island. And I was an event planner. I had my own event planning company for a while. And eventually I got a divorce. So once I got a divorce, things changed drastically for me, right? It changed financially. And at a certain point, like, I would do stuff with my children. I would be in school with them, their homeroom parent, that kind of stuff. And my kids were quite small, so I still wanted to do the same things with them. So I had let my license lapse. I wasn't doing that anymore. So I decided to get my license again because I liked the freedom that being a realtor provided me. I could make as much money as I wanted to. There was nobody putting caps on that, only as much as I could produce. And I still had the flexibility to be with my kids and still do the things I used to do for them. So it's been full steam ahead. So let's talk about real estate. So some of the things Teikesha kind of went over already, so I'm not going to necessarily go through that. I'll kind of skip, but we'll get to let's go to the home buying process timeline because I think that's really important. So here we go. So because I'm in New York, the process is a little different. So similar to what Teikesha said, we have the buyer's agency agreement, which is the contract to help you find a home. We're going to determine how much you can afford, determine your needs and wants, and I'm going to share all the disclosure forms, which, we have different disclosure forms like fair housing. You want to make sure that you're not being discriminated against, that sort of thing. So I'll share those with you. Once we're ready to look, I will also provide you with CMAs, which is just telling you what the market is doing. So in a particular area, how much things are going for, that kind of thing, right? Then we're going to look at homes. And once we look at the homes and you find the home that you want, I am going to present the offer. And in presenting, we will definitely discuss what the offer should be. I never make an offer and I'm just like, oh, it should be this. We'll discuss it. And based on everything, the comps that things are going for, the condition of the house, we'll come up with a number that you're comfortable with and we'll present the offer. But just like Teikesha, I'm a very upfront person too, maybe to the detriment of myself, but I will tell you, my opinion, because obviously if I'm your buyer's agent, part of the thing that you're paying me for is my expertise. So I will definitely, discuss what your offer should look like and guide you the best way for you to be able to win that offer. Okay. So let's say your offer gets accepted. At that point, we coordinate the inspection. So this is where Jersey and New York differ. Once your offer is accepted, we don't get into any contract reviews, that kind of thing. We go straight to getting an inspection. And once we do your inspection, then we discuss, okay, this needed to be fixed, that needed to be done, we'd like this to be done, et cetera, and we'll go kind of back and forth. And until we have an agreement about what you would like and what they can do. And we put that in what's called an addendum, and your attorney puts that in the contract. Another thing that we differ in is that in New York, you are required to have an attorney. right? So we don't write the contracts. The attorney writes the contracts. So once your offer is accepted and we do the home inspection, the attorneys take over. And your attorney who you pay for will review your contract and make sure that he's doing the best for you. It's an adversarial process. They'll go back and forth until they come up with the final contract. Then you will have to sign, put down your earnest money deposit. They sign, and once both of you have signed, you are officially in contract. So the differing thing here as well is until that contract is ironclad, meaning both parties have signed, you still can get out of that contract. Because let's say you even signed and you didn't put down your earnest money, you're technically still not even in contract. So that's one of the major differences. Once you're signed, both of you, and your earnest money has been given, you are in contract, okay? And it's hard to escape the contract. People will break a contract, and then there's usually some kind of legal process that happens where it's not as simple as, oh, they just take your money. Usually they'll have to go to court and say that, you know, the contract was broken, and then they may have right to take your money, okay? Then we have, you want to obtain your insurance. And in Long Island, for example, not only do you have title insurance and stuff like that, you may have flood insurance, because obviously we're on an island and some places are prone to flood. So that may be an extra cost, anywhere from a little over $1,000 to sometimes over $3,000, depending how bad the flood zone is, and depending on costs of insurance. And insurance is actually a little bit on the rise. I don't know if you guys have been paying attention, but they're definitely raising insurance on people. So those are things that you definitely want to consider, like Teikesha said, and factor all of those things when you're making a decision about what your budget is. Okay. So once those things have been done, the title company does a title search and make sure that there are no liens on the house. There is no anything that would prevent you from a free and clear title on this property. You don't want any encumbrances, is what they call it, right? So when you buy the property, then you have a headache. So I've had people in the process of buying, and then they've found out that there are, you know, there's an encumbrance. There are different things that the family hasn't paid off. Okay, so we never want that for you. So you always do a title search to make sure that, oh, and another thing is that there are no open permits. So sometimes when people do work to the home, they never closed out the permits, which is required by the county, you know. So they have to close it out. And if they don't close it out, we can still negotiate a deal, meaning that we can say, okay, you'll go ahead and finish closing it out, but they're going to leave a certain amount of money for you in escrow to pay to close it out. And I always try to negotiate a little bit more than, you know, it costs to close it out, because you never know what can happen. So, and a good attorney will want to do that as well. Okay. So the appraisal, by the way, is ordered by the lender. So your lender does that. And then, as Teikesha said, you get your commitment letter, and that's when we know, okay, this is clear to close. We are going to closing. All right. And then we go to closing. And of course, the next thing that you want to do is a little before closing, once you know you're doing the clear to close, I recommend that you get the utilities changed in your name. So by the time you're ready to go in the house, you know, the lights, everything is already in your name, okay? And then we do what's called, which Teikesha mentioned, a final walkthrough. We want to do the final walkthrough because, I mean, I've had people where they're supposed to give you the house in what's called broom clean, and we go, the house is a mess. I had a closing the other day. It took us forever to close because literally when I went, with the final walkthrough with my buyers, they were still packing up the house. It was like absolutely insane. So in a case like that, this is why it's good to have a realtor, because I go with you to the final walkthrough and I am taking pictures. I am making sure that when we go to closing, I am giving it to the attorney and being like, hey, they didn't finish moving out. They didn't give it, broom clean. So we need to leave some money in escrow, which, let's say they left the stuff in there and it's a mess and now you have to pay somebody to dump it. Those costs shouldn't be passed on to you. So then that would have to be negotiated. Okay. So that's a little bit about the timeline here in New York versus New Jersey. So we can go to the next slide. I've put some things in here that I just want you guys to have access to. I'm not necessarily going to go over it, but I just wanted you to be able to have this to print it off. So here's a sheet with needs and wants, and you can, go ahead and check those for yourself. And then this is something that you could give to an agent so you immediately know what's a priority for you. So that's just like a free worksheet for you. We can move on to the next slide. So the basics of financing a home, I think, I thought it was nice to see this on paper. So here I used an example of an FHA loan, which is the 3.5% down, and just how that works. So the EMD means your earnest money deposit. And I mean, that can vary, but I used 2% here. But let's say, it's 2%. I gave an example here. The sales price is 600,000. 2% of that is 12,000 down. So that's what you're putting down to secure your contract. And then, you have your down payment, and then you'll factor in your closing costs. So your money due at settlement will be your down payment, which is the 3.5% minus your earnest money deposit, right? And your closing costs, and that's how you come up with the 30,000. So I just thought it was nice to share that with you so you can physically see what that looks like. Okay, we can move to the next slide. So I just included what a FICO score is because many people don't understand how important credit is or how it works and what makes up the FICO score. And it's definitely something to pay attention to because the better your credit is, the better your loans will be, the better terms you'll get. So you can get an FHA loan with not having, perfect credit score. That's no problem. But especially if you want better terms, if you're doing a traditional loan, it's always good to have, great credit because they look at all of those things to make sure that you are a good risk, right? So 760 and higher, you typically get the best rates. 700 to 759, that's good credit. 620 to 699 is acceptable. Below 620, they consider you a higher risk, and you may need to put a higher down payment. So for an FHA loan, 480 or higher, you can qualify, right? 500 to 579, you can still qualify, but you will probably need to put at least 10% down. And 500 and below, you're generally, not eligible for the FHA loan. Okay, so we can move to the next slide. So that's what I was just talking about. Once again, I just wanted you guys to have this later to look on paper and see how your score affects you. Okay, we can move to the next slide. So this discusses, which I know somebody asked the question earlier. So once again, I wrote down some of the basic types of loans, and there are other types of loans, but these are some of the more typical ones. So you have an FHA loan, which I just discussed, a conventional loan, which Teikesha spoke about earlier, that 20% down. You have VA loans, which are given to veterans. We can go to the next slide. Then we have within FHA, you have a 203K loan. So for those of you that were interested in two families, for example, two families can be obviously a little more expensive. So sometimes you have to look at a two family that may require work. And the same can be for a one-family home too. Sometimes you have to look for something that requires work. There's a 203K loan available, which helps you to do the work on that property. Okay, and so that lists what a 203K loan does, so you can obviously take a look at that. We can move on to the next slide. So because we're in New York, I wanted to, again, have resources for you guys to go to. So we have these various homebuyer assistance programs, and I've listed some of them and, you know, the terms. So Achieving the Dream, that's a type of loan assistance program. It helps you have a low down payment, low mortgage rates. Then you have the Conventional Plus program. It's an all-in-one solution for low-income buyers, and so on and so forth. But I wanted you guys to have that resource so you could actually look that up, um, and talk to your loan person about that and see if you can get some of these programs, because obviously the goal here is we want all of you to own property, not just property for yourselves, but in the future, buying property that you can leverage for wealth, something that you can pass down like Teikesha is doing, to her daughter. So having that kind of opportunity to own property is definitely what I encourage my people to do. So those are some resources for you, okay? And you can move to the next slide. So, people always ask, why use a real estate agent? And I mean, the thing is, sometimes people act like we're used car salespeople, and Teikesha can affirm this. You know what I mean? There are definitely terrible real estate agents. I pride myself on being a great real estate agent, especially for my community, because to me, it is so important to own property. I want us to have longevity and long-term wealth. That is my absolute goal for people that I help. So we have knowledge of the market that many times people do not have. And of course, now we have the internet and things like that. So you have more resources. So that's great. But day to day, this is what we do for a living. So we have that knowledge. We're experts. And I always say to people, listen, this is one of the biggest purchases you'll make in your entire life. It's similar to when I used to do weddings. You spend a lot of money on a wedding, there's a lot of emotion there. There's things that you need to know as an event planner to help people get through that. And it's the same thing for an agent. You know what I mean? This is one of the biggest purchases that you'll be making in your entire life. Why wouldn't you want somebody who's an expert to help guide you? And I saw a really great example of this. I was listening to this guy. He made a TikTok or something like that, and he was saying that, he was buying a property and they were not paying the agent, right? It was a brand new property. And so he spoke with his realtor, and the realtor ended up going like, you know what, go ahead, buy it. He bought the property, and it was a brand new construction property. So you'd think like, oh, it's brand new construction. And Teikesha definitely deals with more brand new construction than I do here in New York. Bought the property. In the end, he found out that there were so many things wrong with the property. And so he ended up kind of being screwed. If he had had his realtor there pointing out certain things and being like, no, we need to get this checked, we need to do certain things, he wouldn't now be in a property where he's having major problems, and now he's going to have to sue the builder. So that's definitely, one of the things to think about when you're looking for a realtor, is that we're definitely here to guide you. The other thing is we have access to listings, sometimes not just on the multiple listing service, which is what we use, but sometimes we have in-house exclusives. And I know for me, I have great relationships with other agents. I love other realtors. And me as your realtor, because I have those great relationships, we might walk into a house and I'm like, oh, there's Teikesha. I know Teikesha well. I'm not saying Teikesha is going to tell me exactly how much we should be putting down, but Teikesha might be like, yeah, you probably should come up a little more, or yeah, we'll definitely, I know you're a great agent, Janice. I know you always get deals close. I'm going to really consider your offer seriously and take it seriously. So that's one of the things that we provide. We're also negotiating on your behalf, and we'll know things and we'll be like, no, this isn't what's going in the neighborhood for. They're really trying to jack you. You know what I mean? This is what the offer should be. We can go back and forth. So you definitely want us because we're skilled negotiators. Sorry. And also the last thing, which people don't think about sometimes, emotional support and clarity. Like I said, it's very similar to being an event planner, and people being emotional about their wedding. People are very emotional sometimes when it comes to buying a house. And I feel like sometimes we're wearing like 10 different hats, including psychologists, to help get you into the finish line. Okay. So that's some of the reasons why I think it's great to have a realtor. We can skip to the next. So, they've made certain changes now with commissions, and I thought it would be good to see on paper how we get paid. And I gave an example here because sometimes people think like, okay, we got paid on this transaction, we made X amount of money. The difference is like, Teikesha's a broker, I'm an agent, I work for somebody. So in my case, I work for Caldwell Banker. So Caldwell Banker gets a chunk of my money. So here I've broken it down. If you had a $750,000 house and they're paying out 2%, let's say, and the brokerage, my brokerage, let's say they're taking 50%. And then also I've spent money doing different things. If it's a listing, let's say I've spent money marketing it, etc. I'm going to subtract those expenses. And so by the time everything's done and said, 7,300 is what I would be coming home with, where it started out as 15,000. So one of the things that they've started doing is that before, all of the money would be coming from the selling agent. So some selling agents have cut back, let's say they're giving out 1% or sometimes no percent. So when you sign that buyer's agency agreement and we're agreeing to work together, I may ask for 2% or 3%, because like Teikesha said, we're working for free until we go to the closing. So if they offer 1%, then you would pay 2% to have me as your agent. But that 2% can be rolled into your mortgage to where it's a couple cents on your mortgage, that it's something you're not even necessarily feeling, but you are getting the guidance and protection of having an agent. So I just, wanted everyone to kind of understand how that works. We can go to the next slide. So once again, here is a sheet for you guys. I'm not going to go over this, but I just wanted to give you a little view at, if you're buying a house, how much things cost, generally speaking. Obviously, if you have, caviar taste, these things may be different. But I've put like on the low end and on the high end, how things work, the cost for permits, architect, that kind of thing, just so you have an idea of, thinking about this kind of stuff if you're looking at a home and you're trying to renovate it. Okay, we can move to the next slide. This is, once again, a free sheet for you guys. It just goes over the lifespan of the different things in the home, the central AC, window. So if we go into a house and they said they've had the furnace for 12 years, there's probably another 6 years life left on it, right? So I just thought this would be great for you guys to have as a resource. Okay. So we already went over achieving the steps for achieving home ownership, so we can skip that. And once again, Teikesha went over the commitment, and I generally went over the commitment, but it's the same thing. You sign with me. We are in a relationship. I'm there to guide you. You are there also to do your homework. So I'll sometimes get clients where I am, doing everything and I'm sending them listings and it's like I can't get them on the phone or they're not showing up on time, that kind of stuff. And I've had clients where I've fired them because, we all have time. Time is the one thing that we can't get back, right? And so I feel like everyone should respect everyone's time. I'm going to respect your time as my client, and I expect you to respect my time. So if I see that you're not really serious about the process and I'm doing everything to help you, I may let you go as a client. And, maybe we can work together when you've gotten your stuff together and you're ready to be serious. But, we all have to respect each other's time. And if I'm being a terrible agent, you can fire me. You know what I mean? You'll just know that anything that I showed you while you were my client, let's say you're like, oh no, Janice, you showed me this beautiful house and no, I don't want it. But then you decide to end the contract and you go back and you make an offer on the house that I showed you, I will be owed commission. Okay. But moving forward, anything you saw after that, if I didn't show it to you and you've moved on, no problem. Okay. Can go to the next slide. And once again, here I've provided more resources for you guys to the different websites where you can find some of the programs that will help you in real estate in New York. Okay, so I've provided the website so you guys can get that. And then the last slide, of course, is my contact information. And that's it. So we can open up the floor to questions, Teikesha as well, because barring the couple of things that were different in New York real estate, Teikesha and I can answer if you have any other questions left.
That was a wonderful presentation.
I know,
Thank
I like.
you so much. Okay, so we're gonna go through the chat. Let me just see how many questions we have. All right. Okay, one question I see. Who can we speak to about doing this move in for a year in New York or New Jersey?
Move in?
Yeah.
There was a question.
Let me see if I can go to, sorry.
Teikesha, you want to unmute yourself too?
Yes, mommy.
All right, Data.
Okay, the next question I see is, can you provide more details on the NACA program?
So yeah, I put in the chat. So NACA is, you do not have to be a first-time home buyer to do NACA. However, you cannot own any real estate when you get approved. Meaning, so first-time home buyer does not only mean you never purchased a home. Technically, if I sell my house and wait 3 years and 1 day, I'm considered a first-time home buyer again. So be mindful of that, but NACA does not have that requirement. NACA is a great program, but it is a handful.
Time consuming.
Handful. Like, I can't stress it. So if you're someone who are not good with giving documentation and follow-up, NACA is not for you. If you're someone that's not able to be like pressure people, NACA is not for you. I compare NACA to like going to the DMV or needing something from the government. You got to be on top of them like white and rice. That's NACA. But at the end, you save thousands of dollars. So I've had clients save like $80,000. She bought a $750,000 house, which would have required her, because it was a 3-family, we was going to do FHA, which would have been 3.5%. But then with NACA, she had to show up with $0. Out of pocket for that $750, she only paid like $4,000. That's mind blowing. Great. And then you see of those 5 things, NACA doesn't have PMI. So you only have 4 things, even though you're putting 0% down. So it's a great program, but
so it's funny because I actually am about to be get my NACA certification, right? And I actually, if I wasn't doing this, I would actually be in New Jersey doing that today. So I've postponed that a little bit because I wanted to be here with you guys. But you do need a NACA certified agent, somebody that knows what they're doing with it, the process. And the great thing about NACA, for example, one of the reasons I'm also excited about, I'm sorry, my bird is going crazy. I'm so excited about getting into learning the NACA program is that I would like to buy property through NACA as well. So it's not just a resource for my clients. I'm actually going to use it and not just see if I can get property. I'm actually going to use it and buy property for myself as well.
So yeah, so with the NACA, it's a great program. I know people always post it and they're like, "Ooh, is it true? Does it happen?" Like
Yeah.
I have closed many NACA deals.
Mhm.
It's true. You get a 0% down. There's no closing cost. So in that example, $750, she bought a $4,000 check. That was it. Like, great program. But
it takes a little longer, you know. So if you're ready to move in next month, it's not the program for you.
Yeah, so be mindful of that. So it's not a scam. You can do NACA in New York, anywhere in the US, you can do NACA. There is not.
Okay, Lorraine said I have time.
I have time.
Oh, you can, Lorraine, you said you want it as an investment. NACA, you have to live in the property. So that the biggest thing with you is you don't want to live in the property, so it's going to cost you more money. NACA would not be an option if you don't want to live. If you want to live in there for only a year, NACA is not the option for you. NACA requires you to live in the property. They say forever, but for NACA, you do sign a paper saying that you have to, like, for 5 years, in those 5 years, you can't refinance it. In those 5 years, you can't sell it. If you do that, you do have to pay back NACA.
Yeah.
So if your plan again, so there's a lot of stuff, they say it's free, but nothing is really free. There is always restrictions.
Guidelines.
5 years. A lot of the programs we have in Jersey, it's 5 years. So if you know you only want to live in there 1 year, don't go taking the people the money because they look.
They'll come find you.
Right, in jumpsuits or yellow or orange. So 5 years. So, but great program, you can do it. I would say they've gotten better. They're getting quicker with doing the approvals, but you do have to have all your ducks in a row. Like if you live with somebody and you're paying them cash, you have to provide that. You have to. This is the biggest thing with NACA, I would say. People say, but it's 0% down. Why do you need me to see money saved? They do require you to have money saved. It's not like you could just show up and say, "Oh, but I want to buy this house. I have nothing saved." NACA is still not for you. No matter if you're getting 100% financing or not, you have to have money saved. How much will determine if you want a single family or if you want a multi-family. When we say multi, that's a 2, 3, or 4 units. So technically, you can buy a 4-unit, a quad, a fourplex, whatever you want to call it, but as low as 3.5% down.
So we have about some questions coming in. We have a few minutes left.
Okay. What are the current mortgage loan rates?
Ooh, they just jumped a little bit. They just jumped thanks to our buddy.
So that's a hard question because like what Janice was saying, your mortgage rate depends on your credit. And it also depends on the loan product you're using. So if you're doing a VA versus a FHA versus a conventional versus a USDA, those rates are all different. I know on social media, everyone's always putting up the number. That's not always the case because even when rates were in the 6, I have clients buying homes with the rates in the 4. So there's always programs out there. Like right now, NACA rate. So let's say regular interest rate today. NACA rate today is what is that? 6%. So that means the market rate is probably in the 7.
Yeah, it's like 7.07 somewhere there right now.
The rate is that's also a good thing. They're always lower than what the market rate is. So that's why. So that's 6%, but I have lenders that's given like a 5.5% and a $10,000 grant. So there's always programs out there.
I was gonna say mortgage lenders, yeah. Sometimes they'll have a special rate. They can do a little bit more depending, you know, if it's a smaller mortgage company, different things. And then some of them do offer grants and different incentives. So that's why it's good to shop around mortgage lenders as well.
And don't let the rates
scare you.
Don't let the rates scare you because what happens if you keep waiting for the rates to go down? First of all, rates ain't going back to no 3%.
Yeah, that was an anomaly.
Rates ain't going back to 4%. Yeah. When I bought in 19, rates was in the 5s. That's anything that's with a 5 is considered normal.
When I bought, my rates were 8%.
So COVID was a pandemic. It never happened. We never saw it. I hope we don't see it again. It was traumatizing. I don't want to do it again. But the good thing was rates were low. That's not happening. So if you missed the boat, which you did, and I missed the boat too. I'm from East New York. I probably could have bought a house for $100,000. Now you see them houses are so expensive. We all missed the boat. Or growing up, we didn't go to Bed-Stuy. Look at the brownstones in Bed-Stuy. I was young though. I ain't got no money, but but we missed the
Bed-Stuy
boat.
is crazy right now.
So we all missed the boat in real estate. You can't time. I think the biggest thing is you can't time real estate. If you keep on waiting and waiting on the sideline, you will never get into it. When I purchased my home in 2019, people was like, "Why you buying the orange for?" I mean, I like orange. The same people that's telling you they don't like it, they don't got a house. If I had listened to them people when I bought my house for $251, my house is now worth $750. I'm not listening to nobody.
Yeah.
Because the same people, if you keep waiting for them, everybody's out living their best life. And I don't know about you guys. I don't know if you can tell I have an accent. I'm Jamaican. I love my Jamaican people, but we're the same one. These island people, everybody's renting all these apartments for how many years, and they have big, big house in the islands, and they barely there how many times? Like, so don't listen to others. If you want to get in the market, now is a good time because prices are high. I know everyone's like, "Oh, I don't want to live in Newark." And it's always funny when New Yorkers come and say that because when they tell me their budget, I'm like, "You can't afford Newark anymore."
Which is crazy. I remember a couple of years ago.
A couple of years ago, you could get a brand new construction in Newark for two family for $350. Two family in Newark right now is $800,000 brand new.
And the thing is, listen, on the not waiting, like I said, I bought my house, this house over 8%. And during COVID,
I refinanced too, girl.
I have a great rate now, right?
I'll tell you what the rates are, but yes, we bought higher and you refi. So
and that's the thing is like, it won't necessarily always, I'm not saying they're not coming down back to COVID, right? However, sometimes they do dip and sometimes it will make sense to refinance. But if you never had the property,
you can never refinance. And if you keep on waiting, the homes get expensive. Like I said, Newark, $350. I used to beg people to come and buy a house in Newark. I don't want to live in Newark. Oh, man, it's a Newark bot. And I always tell people Newark is equivalent of Brooklyn. Within Newark, there's over 20 different neighborhoods. There are mansions in Newark that's always been selling for 800, 900. There's $1 million homes in Newark. But what you hear on TV, you don't hear that. You only hear about the bad areas. So just like when something happened in Brooklyn, or if you're from the Bronx or wherever, you're like, what part that? Oh, I don't mind part that. Same with Newark. Oh, that wasn't my part of Newark. Home prices are getting crazy high. Even Irvington, like I live in Orange. I don't want to live there. But the prices are high. Like if you guys bought when the prices were low, you'd have been like your hand back and just chilling. Like, oh, you.
Well, that's like East New York. During COVID, I never stopped selling houses. It was like the craziest thing, right? I'd mask up and go sell a house. We had a property for sale in East New York near the Pink Projects. It was going for 400 and something thousand.
That's probably like double now.
What? And it was a 2-family.
So for NACA, yes, you could buy a multi, whether you want to buy a 2, 3, or 4 unit with NACA, and you can live in it. Yeah, and you can have renters. And
thank you, ladies, because it's 12:27.
I could be on this webinar for a long time. Just hearing y'all ladies speak is just like I'm over here taking notes.
Sorry,
well, I was able to get the good rate at 2.5, just to brag.
Oh, you were supposed to.
Yes, so I was able to get the good rate. But
you don't have to keep them stressed. You can't tell the people the higher interest rate.
Don't rub it in.
So I wanted to thank both of y'all. This was very phenomenal. Very educational, informative as well. And I appreciate y'all for coming. I do thank y'all very much. A special thank you to Teikesha Hubert and Janice James for sharing not only their journeys, but also your wisdom and authenticity.
Anika, will people have access to all of those different?
They will definitely have access. Okay. This is also recorded. So you can also contact EEPD, myself, or Candace Daniels for the information. If you need the information as well, you can contact me and email me. And they can also contact you if you are ready or not ready to buy a home. Ms. Hubert is available and Ms. James is available. So I do appreciate everyone for attending. So thank you, ladies. I do appreciate it.
And if you're not ready, that's the thing is Teikesha and I can help you get on the right path to get ready. Sometimes you're not ready just now, but we can be like, okay, here's a credit report repair person. here's a lender to discuss kind of what your end goals are, and you get ready. And then when you're ready, then we go find you a property.
Yes, definitely. So if you want any information to buy in New York or in New Jersey, you can contact them. They are very, very effective, and they will hold your hand. Teikesha held my hand to the end, and she's still
I was
holding
trying
my
to hold
hand.
Anika's hand too.
You were trying, but New York's rate is too high right now for me.
Don't worry, you'll hold my hand. I'm having a baby, so I'll be reaching out.
So thank you
Pleasure.
very
Guys.
much. I appreciate y'all. Like I said, if you need any information, I will send it to you. So thank you. Happy Saturday, everyone.
Thank you, everybody
Thank you so
that joined
much,
us,
everyone.
and thank you to all you ladies. Oh, can I join?
Yes, you could
Yes,
join our section.
yes,
Done. I'm
Yes, you
going
can
to
join our
join.
section.
Perfect.
Yes, you can definitely join our section. We can provide. I can provide you with the information.
Okay, fantastic.
So thank you very much.
All right,
Happy
bye,
Saturday.
everybody.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you, everybody. Thank you.